Man, I'm actually really excited for this video, more so than usual. I saw this amazing Reddit post. Normally, I'm not like crazy about every single fan kit and stuff like that, but this one really got the gears turning. So big shout out to JBruck17. They put out this awesome idea of a Mandalorian fleet. You know, I didn't really think much about it. Like, holy cow, that actually seems like a lot of fun. I feel like the Mandalorian fleet was one of the bigger highlights of Mandalorian Season 3. And all of a sudden, the ideas just started flowing upon me in all of its graciousness. I thought, you know what? Let's talk about 5 factions I would love to see come to the game. We always talk about specific characters, but what about fully fledged factions? And this one made the ideas come. I was like, why still at 5? We can talk about 10. And at the end of this, you're going to be basically like a soul that this game has so many more factions and characters to explore. So let me know what your thoughts are down below on what factions you want to see. Let's get into what I'm thinking about. And let's start off with this Mandalorian fleet. So it wasn't so much the fleet that got me hyped. It's more of the fact that I've talked about this in the past. The fact that we have so many sub-factions of Mandalorians. You have Death Watch, you have Children of the Watch, you have the Night Owls. The list goes on and on and on. The Mandalorian faction is probably, off the top of my head, it's got to be one of the most like divisive factions out there. There are so many subsections and sects, S-E-C for the YouTube algorithm. Not the other one. I said that right? Let me double check. Yes, I'm right. S-E-C-T. You know what I mean? But I definitely think that Mandalorian faction could be like expanded a lot more, especially the whole idea that we saw in Mandalorian Season 3, especially reuniting the clans, which I guess Bo-Katan's current leadership has that. But it'd be really cool to see just more subset factions that you can utilize to really kind of like fine-tune some Mandalorian synergies, because right now the Mandalorians are just kind of like all over the place, which kind of fits the theme. But it'd be really cool to start seeing individual factions fleshed out, and then maybe even ultimately a Mandalorian fleet of some sort that we saw with Axe Wolves leading. You know that, come on, don't lie to me. You know you want that. So I'm gonna start off with that as number 1. Number 2, I'm coming in with heat. We're dialing it up. We need Gungans. Like, it's not a debate. We need Gungans. One of the biggest military forces that we saw in the early parts of the prequel, and we don't have them. I think there's something fishy going on over there. CG, you want to say something? We don't even have a Naboo planet. However, before we get too in the weeds of this, I definitely think that there's a more likelihood than not that they're going to be eventually adding some sort of Naboo planet, a Gungan faction, Naboo faction of some sort. They already kind of semi-teased it by saying, you know, we're going to have Naboo one day inside of Rise of the Empire. It is crazy, though, that we had no backgrounds of even Naboo inside of Galaxy. So it's definitely a big omission, like glaring omission too, mind you, that we don't have that. Of course, there's other planets and things, but not having at least Naboo to interact with in the background, that's kind of a bit weird. But nonetheless, I'll take a few options. I put in Gungans out there. I just want to see Jar Jar come. I just want to see people get ticked off. It would make me funny, make me a little happy, make me kind of excited just to see a stupid character come in the galaxy of heroes. But ultimately, what I'm really looking forward to, I want to see Padme, R2 just come to life, make them a little bit more impactful in the game. R2 and Padme have been getting beaten up by power creep, people stealing their teams and their friends, and they're just kind of these wandering characters. They're not bad, but like, you know, they could use a little bit more, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be mad if a Gungan faction, or maybe they bring Padme Amidala, R2D2, Captain Panaka. I always butcher his name. Is it Captain Panaka? Yeah. Captain Panaka. Yeah, boom. That's the Star Wars knowledge is baked in there. Ooh, who cares about life advice? All that? No. Captain Panaka, deep into the Imperial archives. Boom, right there. But you see what I mean? That wouldn't be all that bad. I brought this idea up a few times. So I think we definitely need at least some sort of Naboo Gungan representation inside of Galaxy Heroes. Let's make it happen. Next up on the list, I didn't really think there'd be a chance we'd ever see this again. Praetorian Guards. Well, you know, the sequels came out and Praetorian Guards were kind of like, ooh, that's kind of cool, you know, and then, all right, we didn't see them again. But then, spoiler warning, I mean, it's several months later, we saw them inside of Mandalorian Season 3 with the Imperial Remnant. So that kind of opens the doors a little bit more. We could invite Praetorians as a new faction, or they could just be like their own thing. You know, this maybe a full entire Praetorian team. We could see every Praetorian had a little bit different of a move set, that they utilize different tools and weaponry. They could utilize some first order synergies, or we could also be used as the Imperial Remnants. Now that we saw the Mandalorian Season 3, the early stages of Praetorians, kind of the evolution of the Royal Guard that the Empire used to have, I think this would be really neat to see at some point. And I wasn't sure we're ever going to see it, but now with Mandalorian Season 3 that came around, I would be a bit surprised if we never saw Praetorian Guards in any form or fashion inside a galaxy of heroes. Moff Gideon could utilize them as Imperial remnants, maybe Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Let's see where maybe the tides take us, huh? Okay, let's calm down for a sec. I'm talking to myself. I need to calm down here. I don't know why I'm taking this list so seriously. Yeah. Here's what I want to bring up. It's kind of like Mandalorians, where there's a lot of different, SECTSs or, sub-factions of Mandalorians. It's probably the easier way of just saying that. The underworld, I feel like, of Star Wars needs a little bit more pizzazz. We have so many sub-factions when it comes to the underworld. Of course, we have some of them being represented, like Hut Cartel's kind of it's the only kind of underworld faction that's being represented individually inside of galaxies. But we have started to see, Pike syndicates kind of eking their way into the Rise of the Empire. We saw them make an appearance in Book of Boba Fett, Clone Wars Season 7, the finale. I'm going to put one out there. Of course, we could list the many that we would like to see. The one I'm putting on my list, the Shadow Collective. Ooh, formerly Darth, now Maul, creating his own syndicate empire, taking over the Mandalorian planet. I mean, the Shadow Collective was, as the word says, a collective. So we had the Pike Syndicate's a part of it. We had the Mandalorians a part of it. The Hut Cartel is also briefly a part of it, ever so briefly. So we can point out many of it. It could be, Crimson Dawn. I think there was one, Black Sun, as well as another one, I believe. So we could list on and on and on. The point I'm getting at is that I think they have so many opportunities to bring out individualized underworld factions that have synergies just among themselves, strong synergies to bring in new teams to the game. But if I had to pick one, I think the Shadow Collective, it's kind of cool. And it's a good way to start because it kind of ties into a couple of different factions to start off with, and then they can make even more beyond that. We definitely need a bit more. I'm surprised we don't even have Crimson Dawn and stuff like that. We have things that could be, but there's no faction to tie them all together. Okay. All right. You guys know me. This always gets me irritated. Saw Gerrera, a character I was really excited was announced, and then it's only been downhill since then. Saw Gerrera, yes, he's in the game. I think one of the ways they kind of missed the mark, is he Garbanzo Beans? No. What's a step above Garbanzo Beans? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. He's just kind of a little uninspiring. The kid sounded really good. I think the problem is, though, the people he's trying to, they're not really doing a lot. We're not really seeing Wedge and Biggs and Baze and True really do much. At best, we're seeing maybe Kyle Katarn and Cara Dune, which is cool, but Cara Dune, she's already kind of employed in a couple of areas. Kyle Katarn, yeah, you don't need him with Mon Mothma, but he's decent. The point I'm getting at is I think Saw Gerrera really needs to have his specified faction. Rebel fighters were designed for Mon Mothma, and then, he's kind of picking up scraps. He really needs to have, he had his own crew, his own clique. It's called the Partisans. And, as much as I'm mad at my boy Saw for what he did in the Bad Batch finale and what he did to our boy Tech, #Tech isn't dead. Don't even get me started on that conversation. Anyways, I think he really needs to have his more individualized partisan faction we've seen in so many areas. We saw it in Rebels, we saw it in the Bad Batch, we saw it inside of Jedi Fallen Order, and of course we recently saw it inside of Andor, a group that's willing to get really dirty, has to get the job done no matter the cost, unlike the Rebels, which are like, oh no, look at me, I just destroyed a Death Star. No, so how do we get there? Someone's gotta get down and dirty, y'all. So let's make Saw Gerrera a little bit better. He might be the start of a faction that's waiting to be born. Maybe they're going to eventually add some Andor content. That doesn't seem too far-fetched. We're kind of in this rebel, lingo mode right now. We could easily add Luthen, for example, add his ship and stuff like that. I said his name right? Luthen? Boy, it's been a minute since I've rewatched Andor. Let's see, Luthen, right? Just double checking. Oh, the archives are never wrong, y'all. Yeah, I mean, adding Luthen, Saw Gerrera, maybe giving Andor some more specified tags. I mean, or even just general rebel partisans. I think they definitely have a lot of work they can do with Saw Gerrera. Moving on, let's talk about an interesting one. How about a 3v3 specified thing? Now you might be, I don't get out of here with that tomfoolery and that peanut butter jelly sandwich, but let me tell you, I'm gonna make you sit and listen to me because that's why you're here. I'm talking about the ones, literally the ones, aka the Mortis gods. This was interesting. I mean, I gotta really dig into this anyways. Were the Mortis gods actually real, or were Kenobi and Ahsoka and Anakin just on a complete trip? Who knows? knows? I'm more inclined to believe it was actually something real. If you guys don't know, in the Clone Wars, Mortis gods, you had the father, son, daughter, both representing either the light, dark, or kind of that neutrality in between. Very powerful beings. Again, were they real or not, they're kind of like the full entire culmination of whatever aspect of the Force that they're trying to be at. It'd be really darn cool to see them come to the game, 3-person faction of some sort. Man, is that, like, I'm thinking about it. If these guys are like the true embodiments of the different aspects of the Force, is that like a legendary, 3 legendary team? I don't know. It's not my problem. Just make it happen. Oh, this is another one. We've been getting this conversation piece pulling up. Thrawn, Big Daddy Thrawn's gonna be on the big screen very shortly in live action for the very first time. It feels like the first, because it is the first time. Thrawn, Ahsoka, a few weeks from now, not too much longer, we're gonna see Thrawn on the big screen, and the idea of Chiss has been kind of on the little appetizer menu for a little bit now. I would love to see a new Thrawn. Let's not beat around the bush. I definitely think, depending on how the story pans out for Thrawn, and he's the heir to the Empire. Whoa! Still gives me goosebumps to this day. Would be kind of interesting to see a new Thrawn galactic legend of some sort. Time will tell. We'll wait and see. But what about the rest of the Chiss ascendancy? The Chiss, if you don't really engage with the novels, which, by the way, the Thrawn novels, I highly recommend. I don't really care for reading that much for enjoyment, but those were a lot of fun to read. Highly recommend you like get the audiobook or something. I got the book and audiobook. Such an amazing experience. The voice actor, beyond talented. Anyways, point aside, highly recommend reading it or listening to it. Chiss ascendancy, Thrawn's, real peeps over there. It would be really cool to see in the game. And inside the Thrawn trilogies, we saw a lot of different Chiss come to fruition. So number one, kind of like Mandalorians, we can definitely have a full-blown Chiss fleet. Pretty dope, if you ask me. But we also have other characters made an appearance, like, for example, Arlani. It's been a minute since I read the book, but you can't tell me that there wasn't, a little bit of interest between Thrawn and Arlani. Point aside, though, very advanced beings, very intelligent beings, and furthermore, I want to get Eli Vanto into the mix. If you don't know why I say that, I just love the way they said Eli Vanto inside of the audiobook. Eli Vanto, although not a Chiss species, I think he's kind of honorary Chiss. He was really under Thrawn's wing for the entirety of the Thrawn trilogy, and eventually he kind of ditched the Empire and headed on over to the Chiss ascendancy. Pretty darn interesting story. Highly recommend you guys read it. Chiss ascendancy, putting it on the menu. Snack a little bit more. Let's see where Thrawn's story heads out from the next couple weeks. Now, I know. We already talked about some first order things with the Praetorian Guards. But remember these guys? The Knights of Ren. Oh gosh, how do I say this in a nice way? It was a group of folks that we saw for like a few seconds in like promotional pieces, and we're like, oh wow, that looks cool. And they had like maybe in total like 5 seconds of screen time. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's be all right, Gary. They had like 15 seconds of screen time. The Knights of Ren. I'm kind of throwing just some ideas out there. It'd be really cool to see Supreme Kylo Ren get some more, I don't know, dedicated, updated lifter units potentially for Supreme Kylo Ren. We could do that Praetorian Guards. Could maybe add a Snoke at some point, but this about factions. Knights of Ren, they could easily be their own type of faction. I think the problem is they're kind of, similar in design. They all had like different types of movesets and different weaponry they work with, but nonetheless, you can easily make 5 of them. I have no idea what any of their names are because we really didn't get to know them. I'm probably sure maybe they had a bigger appearance than maybe some of the novels out there that maybe I haven't read, but otherwise, I don't know. I'm putting it out there. I would like to see another First Order Knights of Ren, huh? Maybe not in the higher end of the list, but nonetheless, I'm putting it on here. Okay, now this is a little bit different. Most of these factions we're talking about today, they're just, they're brand new ones coming out into fruition. But I'm going to add another faction here that's already kind of in game, but they aren't getting on the telephone and they're not really kind of synergizing. I'm talking about the Jedi Council, the Galactic Republic Jedi Council. You can believe they're sort of there. I mean, Ki-Adi-Mundi's unique ability kind of says Jedi Council, right? Yeah, his unique ability is already called Jedi Council, but there isn't a Jedi Council tag. I really want us to kind of lean in and dig more into the Jedi Council and make some more in-depth synergies like Ki-Adi-Mundi was trying to offer. I feel like they were trying to make a Jedi Council tag, but it just never happened for whatever reason. I don't know why. Mace Windu, Kenobi, Yoda, the Shakti, the list goes on and on. Who was a part of the Jedi Council? Yes, you could make a team like that with Qui-Gon and all the others, but it's just, I don't know why there isn't this particular tag. We kind of see subset factions of a variety of things, but I think we really need to just create a tag and make it come to life a little bit more. And then, of course, make sure there's like synergy that purposely makes sure Anakin's not a part of the Jedi Council. Oh, is it too soon? All right, I don't know. I'm putting it on the list. Jedi Council, I think we need to make it happen. I saved the best for last. There are many other fantastic factions, groups of folks that we need to see in Galaxies, but I want to end on something that's going to make you smile. I'm talking about the most powerful group in Galaxies of heroes that we would ever see, the D Squad. And if you don't know what the D Squad is, we're going to educate you just a little bit. The D Squad, inside of, oh gosh, there are so many factions, and I'm bringing up the D Squad. D Squad, minor yet important appearance in the Clone Wars. Don't even at me. A team. I want to put this out here. The official Star Wars website themselves, it's canon. It says a Republic super team, not just team, super team of 5 droids: QT, U9C4, R2D2, M5BZ, and of course, Corporal WAC-47, sent out on an important mission under the leadership of Colonel Maber, I always mess with his name, Gascon. I'm not even kidding. Even Disney understands the true in-depth power that the D Squad has. We've been saying we need R2D2 to have a more important role. Maybe it's not with Padme and the Naboos and the Gungans. It's gonna be with the D Squad. Is there anything else to say? Anything else to say? That's all. I think that's all. We're gonna leave it right there. I have nothing else to add to the matter. Let's make the D Squad happen, just like a variety of other factions. At the end of the day, here's the thing, guys. Especially for a universe, Star Wars being a singular universe, no multiverse like a lot of other things like Marvel and DC. The fact of the matter is, Star Wars Galaxies has so many cool in-depth factions that are kind of big name that they still have not brought into Galaxy of Heroes. Which one of these are more interesting? Which ones would you want that are not even on this list? I could have made a top 50. It was only gonna be top 5. I made a top 10 because this is really cool to talk about. Absolutely honored to have you guys here today. Let me know down below, what are your thoughts? What facts would you like to see in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? Leave that like, all that fun stuff that YouTube wants to do, and always remember that it's great to be in the Empire today. Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today.